you doing? How you doing? How you doing? We're almost to 2024, but we have a little bit to talk about before then. We got a little something on Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, little Yariel Rodriguez, Lucas Giolito. How about Teoscar Hernandez? What the heck is going on with that guy? It looks like Wander Franco is he's pulling an O.J. Simpson from back in the day. Where is Wander Franco? And we have some awards tonight, everyone. We'll recap 2023. We'll take a look back. We'll look back at some good memories with 2024 around the corner. How you doing, everyone? Good evening, good evening, good evening. 200 people in the chat to start things off. Thank you for stopping by tonight, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. We are only a few days away until 2024. This will probably be the last time I go live until then, unless something happens. Usually I go live Sunday through Thursday anyway during the off season. You usually like to take Friday, Saturday, take those days off, kind of, you know, take those, I guess those are days off. I never have any days off. I don't know. But this will most likely be the last stream I do until then. And unless, again, something happens. Who knows? Maybe someone signs tomorrow. I go live to react to it. Maybe even on Saturday. We'll see. I am planning on posting a video this weekend, though. I'm looking back at the most insane off seasons of all time. Please make sure you look out for that video. I was enjoying taking a look back at other off seasons that we've all experienced, off seasons that I experienced in the past, way before this channel, and even taking a look back at off seasons that I didn't experience. I didn't realize how cuckoo bananas some off seasons got in the past. So be on the lookout for that one. I'm having a lot of fun getting that ready for all of you. And then everyone, next weekend, I'm doing something on this channel for the first time. All the other channels out there, they like to post their top 50 or top 30 or whatever. I know Foolish Baseball, he has his Foolish 50. Giraffe Neck Mark, he always does his 12 days of rankings or whatever it is, and he has his top 50 players out right now. I'm going to do the same thing. Why not? I'm going to take a stab at it. I know people are going to get insanely mad at me for it, but it is what it is. This is what I signed up for, and you know what? I want to give it a try with my own rankings. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be coming out, not this weekend, but I'm going to shoot for next weekend. And then I'll probably, as we start going into the 2024 season, I'm going to start ranking each position as well. So why not? Hey, you all love rankings. You all love arguing about it. You all love yelling at me about everything else anyway. So I might as well do some rankings. And everyone, stay tuned until the end of the show tonight. I have an announcement to make at the end of the show. You do not want to miss that. You don't want to miss it. Everyone, let's get going here. A lot of familiar faces in the chat. We got moderators. I think I saw a couple of members. Again, thank you for stopping by. Before I do get started, everyone, if you can, subscribe if you are new. Hit that like button, hit the bell, share the show. You know what to do. Let's get to it here, everyone. Let's get to it. And I will get to tonight's sponsor in just a little bit. Our sponsor tonight is BetUS. So, make sure you stick around for that one, too. Here we go, everyone. Let's get going with the news. And I've been saying this the last couple of streams. I hate starting on a negative note, but, I mean, it's pretty serious stuff. You got to talk about it. So I'll go back to yesterday where Jeff Passan, he put out, he said, Enrique and Juan Recio, they had gotten this, and then Passan relayed it, saying here, Wander Franco was summoned by police to appear for questioning at 11 a.m. Thursday. Well, according to my watch here, today is Thursday, and 11 a.m. has officially passed. Unfortunately, Wander Franco did not appear for the questioning, and there's even a little bit more on top of that. It says here, Franco did not appear for questioning this morning. Investigator Olga Dina Laverias told reporters, according to multiple reports, Franco has also dismissed his legal team. Laverias declined comment when asked about the next steps, but noted the investigations remain ongoing. Now, I'm not the most savvy when it comes to legal things. I don't know if we got any lawyers in the chat or anything elsewhere out there. Now, I don't know if you are necessarily, I could be very wrong about this. Don't take my word for it. But I feel like you're not necessarily required to go for questioning unless like you have a warrant. I could be wrong. Don't yell at me if I'm wrong. I'm asking. I actually do. I think that is it, but I could be very wrong. Let me know if but I think that's what it is. If you don't have a warrant, then you don't necessarily have to. I think that's what it is. Anyway, either way, he did not report for the questioning, which is a red flag. And along with dismissing the legal team, I mean, I don't know. Doesn't sound very good. It sounds a little suspicious. I'm not sure what's going on. Either way, we keep seeing some developments here. I did say this a couple of nights ago. I didn't go live last night, by the way. There was just nothing to talk about. This offseason stinks. The fact that we have to talk about Wander Franco on the run. Someone made this amazing picture on Twitter or whatever. They use the AI, whatever. There's so many AI things out there. Did anyone see that? Finding Wander. It was like a new Disney Channel movie or whatever it was. I was like, what? How do these people come up with this stuff? Goodness gracious. But Wander Franco, this is the latest news. Who knows what ends up happening next? According to this report, he doesn't even have his own legal team. Maybe he's going through the process of hiring another firm. I don't know. Who knows? But this doesn't look very good. It looks rather fishy. I'm not sure what to think. In case you are wondering, what the heck is Wander Franco being called for questioning? Well, if you have been living under a rock, allegations are suggesting that Wander Franco had an inappropriate relationship with a girl underage, which is absolutely disgusting if true. But they definitely need to get to the bottom of it, right? So we will see what ends up happening with that. So let's get to some actual baseball news. And we do have a little something on Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery. Now, we've all been doing this together. We've been through all of this through thick and thin this offseason. We went through Ohtani together. We went through Yamamoto together. Oh, my goodness, that was getting painful. It was getting a little too much, honestly. It was dragging out. But the problem is that all of these other free agents on the market, they're basically sitting on their hands. I mean, honestly, they could actually go and enjoy their offseason without even having to think of contract negotiations because they knew they're not going to get to anything anyway with those two off the market or until those two were off the market. So, but now that they are, Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, even Lucas Giolito, the wheels are starting to turn a little bit. But remember, Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery, they are represented by good old Scott Boras. Got to remember Scott Boras. So with Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, and it looks like Scott Boras is wanting to take his time, which he has always done. It's always painful when it comes to Scott Boras. It's never easy negotiating. He's always looking to maximize as much as he can. He is trying to get every single penny out of the teams out there. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? To be honest, it's hey, that's what makes him so good, right? He gets these players money. But with Boris, he does like to drag things out a lot longer, and it seems like he does it purposely. So with Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery, it says here that Scott Boras may be keen on taking his time in finding new homes for the two Southpaws. This is coming from Chris Cotillo of MassLive.com. There's a couple of more things to talk about in this article, but not surprised to see this at all, right? Blake Snell, Montgomery, these two had great seasons last year. I mean, if you just go take a look at the numbers, these two were just fantastic last year. Blake Snell winning the Cy Young. You know, a lot of people out there will say, I don't know, Blake Snell, he walked a lot of guys. Was he really the rightful guy to win the Cy Young? For me, he was. I mean, I don't know. I have seen people say that out there. But with Snell, what a season he had, right? He was a 6-win player, according to Baseball Reference WAR. Went 14-9, a 2.25 ERA over the 32 starts, 180 innings, 234 Ks over that time. But the big thing with Blake Snell were the walks, right? He walked 5 per 9 last year. That's a ton of walks, man, especially for someone, you know, winning the Cy Young. Usually when you see these guys winning the Cy Young, right, they have at least a good amount of strikeouts, and the walks tend to be a lot lower. But with Snell, that is not going to affect his market whatsoever. Obviously, this guy's got some of the best stuff in the game. That's why he gets all the strikeouts that he does. Blake Snell is very good. And not only was he a Cy Young winner last year, but he won it back in 2018 as well. Whereas with Jordan Montgomery, you're going to see someone that doesn't have as flashy stuff as Snell, but he's going to be more of that stable pitcher in your rotation, a guy that's going to take the ball every 5 days. He's going to give you at least a solid start pretty much every single time. Going to be an ERA in the 3s, low 4s. That's what you're looking at with Jordan Montgomery. You're going to get a lot of innings out of him. He's going to make his starts. He's very durable. For me personally, I would like to have Jordan Montgomery in my own rotation. I like the stuff with Snell, but I feel like he just goes on these runs where if you go back to the last couple of years, back in 21 and 22, Blake Snell, he did not have amazing seasons. Like if you go look at the numbers at 2021, the 4.20 ERA, FIP was a little bit lower. But, you know, he was going through, you know, some injuries there, had under 130 innings. And then, you know, 2022, he missed some starts there as well. He did have a pretty good second half, and that ended up leading to a very good 2023. But he's always been a guy that racks up the Ks. So, but this year definitely blew away 21 and 22. So, for me, though, I think Montgomery is a little bit more reliable for the long run. That's just me. But I'm not diminishing anything that, you know, what Blake Snell brings to the table. I think with Blake Snell, this is a guy where if I'm thinking of some teams out there, the two teams, when I'm really thinking about, I've already talked about this before, but when I am thinking of two teams that just make so much sense for Blake Snell, and these are the two teams that seem to be the most connected with him, the Angels as well as the Giants, right? These are two teams on the West Coast. It seems like he prefers the West Coast. We have seen those reports. But these are two teams that have money to spend, right? The Angels just lost Ohtani, but they already still have a pretty good amount of payroll flexibility. And the Giants, they just can't get anyone to go play for them, right? I honestly think if they throw a ton of money at Snell and they overpay, I think they could really land the guy. And to me, if you have a rotation with Logan Webb and Blake Snell at the top of it, that's very good. That's a very good 1-2 punch, in my opinion. Question, who would be... I would imagine Logan Webb is going to be the opening day guy, but I wonder who would be regarded as the number one in the rotation. Webb will be the opening day guy. I'm like 99.9% sure of that. Just especially out of like a respect factor as well. I don't see... If Snell went there, I don't see Snell taking the ball on opening day. But what a 1-2 punch that would be, especially if they were to make the postseason. I would love that. going into the postseason, to be completely honest with you. And with the Angels, yeah, sure, they got a lot of lefties in the rotation already, but they sorely need something, right? Ohtani was very good on the mound last year. So with Snell, he would be the easy ace, right? Your ace right now is Reed Detmers, who's coming off an okay season, but this is not an ace, right? You need someone in this rotation, but luckily for the Angels, hey, Snell seems to want to go out to the West Coast. We will see about that. And I think if they're in a position where they can throw a little money at someone, Artie Moreno. Hey, we've seen Artie Moreno give out some deals before where you're like, what? What in the world? Artie Moreno? How the heck did you approve that one? So right now, if I'm picking between the two teams, I think the Giants are the better fit overall. They are going to be closer, at least according to my calculations. I think San Francisco is more north, so I would think maybe, a Seattle guy is going to be a little bit closer out there, to Seattle. So maybe this can end up being a pretty good fit overall. To me, I think the Giants really need to get him. If I'm thinking of some other teams, we've seen the Phillies a little bit connected with Snell, but that seems to be lukewarm at best. It seems like, I really think what that is just Dave Dombrowski checking in. Dombrowski, man, that guy checks in on everyone. That guy just loves his job, man. He's just calling everyone. He's kicking tires left and right. He's seeing what's out there. So, yeah, I could see the Phillies maybe being in on it. I mean, really, if you think of that rotation, I mean, my goodness, Wheeler, Nola, and Snell. I mean, what a 1-2-3 that would be. That would be a great 1-2-3. But I don't know. It seems a little We've actually seen the Yankees pop up a little bit in some reports. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's just something. I don't see Snell as a Yankee. There's just something about it. I actually wonder if Snell's a kind of a dude where he just kind of keeps it real, right? He's not really he's a guy that doesn't seem to really fake it all that much. I honestly think I could see that guy saying, nah, I don't want to go play for the Yankees. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does want to play. Maybe he would like to go be in pinstripes. He doesn't seem like a Yankee to me. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Zach G, you made a good point. Snell is actually good friends with Judge. Well, maybe that could be something. I don't know. When I think of Blake Snell, Yankees, he doesn't feel like a Yankee to me. Like Juan Soto feels like a Yankee to me. Blake Snell does not feel like a Yankee to me. I mean, does that make sense? I don't know. But if I'm thinking of some other teams, I mean, really, I feel like this market is pretty thin. Now, we've seen the Mets. I don't know, man. Like, there's just I'm having a hard time. I got to talk to Wardy, right? Wardy's the Mets guy out here. Go check out his channel. I got to talk to him, man, because the Mets just feel really weird right now because we've seen the stuff before where they're looking towards 2025. So I just wonder, yes, Yamamoto was different because he was 25. So I could see them really going after a guy like that. But are they going to drop cash on guys in their 30s that are going to be looking for 6-7 year deals? Will Stearns think that is a good move? It doesn't feel like it for a team that is looking to the next couple of years. Or do they go for a couple of stopgap guys? Now, I will say this with Jordan Montgomery. Let's move to Jordan Montgomery here. Listen. This is not Giraffe Neck Robbie talking here. This is not Giraffe Neck Robbie. This is just straight Robbie likes baseball talking. The Red Sox feel like the best fit. I mean, if I'm really looking at all the teams out there, I tweeted about this today. Jim is here. Everyone, send a get well wish to Jim. He is not feeling well. Jim, hope you're feeling good, my friend. Hope you get better soon. We are going to be doing a Barreled Up podcast episode soon. Look out for that sometime in the next couple of days, probably before the new year. But Jim, get well soon, my friend. But again, not Giraffe Neck Robbie talking. This is just Robbie likes baseball talking. I think the Red Sox really are the best fit for Jordan Montgomery. I could be completely wrong. But when I'm thinking about it, right? I don't see Jordan Montgomery wanting to go back to the Yankees. He didn't have good things to say about the Yankees after he got traded. He literally was saying he felt like the Yankees just didn't let him be himself, right? Texas, if they had money, yeah, I could totally see it with Texas, but they got stuff going on with TV money right now. Are they going to want to break the bank on like a 7-year deal? Especially, you got to pay Scherzer this year. Sure, he's coming off the books, but you got the Grom for a ton of cash over the next few years. Seager, Semien, you're paying a lot of money. Evaldi, they got a lot of money on the books right now. And with the TV stuff, I don't know. Like the Rangers feel like a good fit because they really need some pitching. I'm just wondering what's going to happen money-wise, right? So then I think of teams out west, like we've already mentioned with Blake Snell, the Giants, the Angels, right? I don't know. I don't know. When I haven't seen a whole lot of connection in reports when it comes to West Coast teams. I think of a guy like Jordan Montgomery, a guy that, grew up in South Carolina. I don't know, to me, it almost kind of feels like it doesn't seem like someone that might want to go out west, I think Texas was probably as far as he would like to go, maybe, but what do I know? I'm just speculating here. Seems to me like Jordan Montgomery maybe wants to stay on the East Coast because we have seen the Giants a couple of times, but sorry, like the Giants, they can't bring guys in unless they overpay, which I could see them doing for Snell, who would like to be on the West Coast. That could make a difference. I predicted Atlanta in the beginning of the offseason. I've honestly completely forgotten about Atlanta. If Atlanta wants to pony up some money, then sure. I've completely forgotten about Atlanta. The only thing I've been thinking of with the Braves is the whole Dylan Cease stuff. So it seems like maybe they're inclined to maybe go after a trade. But who knows? The Braves, they always come out of nowhere. Maybe they throw something at Jordan Montgomery. There's the Mets. Again, it's the same thing with Snell, though. It's like, do the Mets, if they're looking towards the future, I know Montgomery would be there for the long haul, but, Montgomery now, and Snell too, they're getting into their 30 seasons. Do the Mets feel like that's a good investment? Because, if this year, I think the Mets could compete this year. I think they could go for a wild card. But if they really feel like they're not quite there, are they going to want to waste a season of Jordan Montgomery there or Snell? Kind of feels weird for the Mets. I can't really put my finger on what they're looking for exactly. If I'm thinking of some other teams, I don't know, man. Like the Cardinals, they seem to be set. I thought maybe there could be a reunion there. Padres got no money. I'm maybe the Cubs, but I don't know what's going on with the Cubs right now. I could maybe see the Cubs jumping in at some point, but I don't know, man. To me, when I'm looking at everything, when I'm looking at all the teams, the Red Sox just feel like the best fit because they have payroll flexibility. And I know there have been those reports of because there was something out there where someone asked someone that was an industry source, and when asked if they thought Montgomery would be a good fallback option, that person, quote, scoffed at the idea, saying that he might be too expensive for the Red Sox. Here's what, honestly, I tweeted this out earlier. I really think the Red Sox, because he's already in Boston, first of all, right? His wife, she's doing her clinicals there, so he's already there for the winter. So I personally think the Red Sox, they're going to maybe wait him out a little bit. Who knows? I'm probably speculating, but if there is a chance, maybe they wait him out. I could honestly see the Red Sox, maybe they don't want to give him a 7-year deal. Maybe he's looking even for 8, right? I could maybe see the Red Sox being like, we'll do 5 years. We'll do 24 a year, 25 a year, maybe an option, right? That's where I honestly see the Red Sox going. If it's like a younger picture, yeah, I could see the Red Sox going like 7. They did the 7-year deal with David Price Look how badly that turned out. Right? Yeah, you got a World Series out of it, but the whole contract itself was kind of a bust. There's the whole thing with Eckersley. That completely just went up in flames. That was a horrible situation. I could see the Red Sox kind of doing a similar deal to what they did with John Lackey back in 2010, right? They did a 5-year deal, $85 million for John Lackey. And, funny enough, I actually did this today. Let me actually show you this. I was actually, I thought this was kind of funny. I believe this is the website. All right, so if I go to the inflation calculator, right? If I go to the inflation calculator, and actually one more thing. Let me pull up baseball trade values because I'm going to go use their, free agent estimator of what a contract could look like. So if we go to Montgomery, I've already pulled this up before. So let me pull up the free agent value estimator. If we did a 5-year deal, right? Taking a look. So they're looking at Montgomery. If you got a 5-year deal, they're looking at $26.5 million per season, which I do think is realistic. I think you can definitely get something in there. Let's say it was 6. You're looking at $25 a year. So you're looking at maybe like a 6 150. This is where I could see the Red Sox maybe doing a 5, and then they do like a player option or a team option, right? I'd probably think more of a team option at that point. That's what I would think. So again, 6 years, 150. Let's say it's 5 years, 125 with an option. Funny enough, when I thought of John Lackey, right? So he signed back in 2009. He signed for $85 million. So if I do this, funny enough, 85, that same contract for John Lackey comes right around to the same. That's kind of what Jordan Montgomery feels to me. Like John Lackey, when they signed him, he wasn't the ace, but they looked at him as like a good 2 or 3 in the rotation. That's Jordan Montgomery to me. And it's just kind of funny that I'm thinking of Lackey's contract back then. And it kind of comes out to what I'm thinking, like a $25 million per year kind of a deal, like 5 years, maybe throw the option on. Anyway, I'm talking a lot about this. But with Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, we might be waiting a little bit. Maybe definitely after New Year's, I would think. Maybe even the next, hopefully it's the week after New Year's. My goodness. I mean, I would think these guys they would like to get signed a little soon. I mean, I would hopefully think the next couple of weeks. However, one guy that seems to be gaining steam when it comes to picking a team. Now, Lucas Giolito doesn't really have to wait on these two guys, in my opinion, because Giolito, I guess you could argue that he could wait, but to me, he kind of is what he is at this point, right? I could honestly see with Giolito, if we were to actually go look up what they're estimating here on baseball trade values. Funny enough, a lot of people are thinking, man, Giolito, he had such a bad second half last year. He's not going to get anything. Giolito is going to get money, everyone. I'm going to let you know that. So let's say Giolito got a 3-year deal. You're looking at probably around like an $18, $20 million AAV when it comes to Lucas Giolito. This might see like 3 years at like 56 or 60. That might seem pretty high, right? Considering how he was last year. I mean, when you look at the overall numbers, if you look at just the surface numbers, 8-15, 4.88 ERA. But the big thing with Giolito is the innings, right? And he has a decent amount of strikeouts for his innings. And if we're looking here, strikeouts per 9 last year, still really good, right? He was at 10 strikeouts per 9 last year. His walks were pretty fine, about 3.5 per 9. The problem with Giolito is he wasn't keeping the ball in the yard, 2 home runs per 9. So that's the big problem, right? He kind of just wasn't locating a whole lot. The command was off with him. But with Giolito, he's always had a pretty good track record, right? 2022, the ERA wasn't very good, but his FIP was at a 4.06. But if you go back from 2017, no, let's go 2018 to 2021. He was very good during this time. He had 104 starts, ERA at a 4.24, FIP was at a 4.12, good strikeout to walk ratio. A guy that's a 3 or 4 in a good rotation. Those are pretty solid numbers. But the big thing with Giolito is he's giving you innings pretty much every single year. He is making at least, how many starts here? Like, he's making at least 29 starts per year minus the COVID year. So innings are valuable, everyone. And he's only 29 years old. So that's another thing you got to think about. So I see a lot of people out there say, man, why would Giolito get any kind of a good deal? He was terrible in the second half. But you got to remember, track record is a thing. He's under 30. He's durable, right? And you got to remember, pitching at under 30 years old with a good track record that eats innings and still has pretty decent stuff. Overall, if we go to Lucas Giolito here on StatCast, overall his advanced numbers were still fine for the most part. He had some blues, but there were some reds mixed in there. He still gets a good whiff percentage. He gets the Ks. But the big thing with Giolito, one of the things that has made him pretty good is the extension, right? And that's why teams, they think, because if you notice a lot, teams now, they look for guys that get that good extension. So you're going to start seeing a lot of like these good pitchers out there where they are pretty decently in the red. So he's able to do that. He still gets the swing and misses, still gets the strikeouts. Yeah, these numbers aren't looking great. The expected batting average was still in the middle last year. Average exit velocity was still fine. All right, but if you go back to 2022, right, you had these numbers. They were better in 22. And then 21, he was very good in 2021. Another thing to mention with Lucas Giolito is I don't ever like to talk about like people's personal lives, but it is something worth mentioning, I think. He was going through some marital issues last year. He had a divorce. I never like talking about that kind of stuff, but it is something, man. And you got to remember, this guy got traded. Right? He was on a bad team with the White Sox, right? He got traded to the Angels. That went horrible. Then he went to the Guardians. So he literally went from Chicago to California to Cleveland. The guy's moving around everywhere. He's got no stability. Home life is not very good. I don't know. Like, I'm going to give the guy a bit of a break there. And to me, sorry to talk about my Red Sox a lot, but the Red Sox are still very firmly in the Giolito sweepstakes. I would like Lucas Giolito, to be completely honest with you. I absolutely would. And if we go to the article that Chris Cotillo wrote today, taking a look here. Oh, my goodness, the pop-ups, you're killing me. Please leave me alone, pop-ups. Where did my piece of the article just go? And the Red Sox, too, they were looking at some relievers out there, too. I know this is... I don't like for this to be like a Red Sox-focused show, but the Red Sox are in the news, everyone. What can I do? So, it says here... there's actually something on Imanaga as well. It says that the Red Sox, they did significant homework on Giolito throughout last season and have been intrigued by him for some time. Very interesting. All right. And the only other team that seems to be, at least in the news, that's interested in him are the Mets, right? So that's where I'm thinking, kind of like the Red Sox and the Mets, at least right now, they seem to be looking at that lower cost starting pitching, right? Whereas I'm not sure where the Red Sox are even at on Jordan Montgomery. But the Mets are definitely in on Giolito too. So, but it says here, right? The Red Sox, they remain engaged with Lucas Giolito as well as James Paxton. We talked about him last week. So, and then we're going to get to Yariel Rodriguez in just a little bit. And they're also still in with Imanaga. I'm going to say this right now, everyone. I'm going to say this right now. I do not want Shota Imanaga on the Red Sox. I don't care what people say about the stuff. Listen, I like me some stuff, all right? But it's not the end-all, be-all. You know who had some pretty good stuff last year? Caleb Ort. Tell me how that went. Tell me how that went. Didn't go very well, if you ask me. So you can tell me, like, the pig shape with Imanaga, and it's amazing, and yada, yada, yada. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad pitcher, but if I'm thinking of a guy that was giving up a lot of home runs in Japan, whereas, like, that's where you should not be giving up a lot of home runs. He was giving up a home run per 9 in Japan. We just saw Giolito giving up 2 home runs per 9 this year. That's what's going to happen with Imanaga if he's at Fenway Park. I don't care what anyone tells me. I see Kei Igawa if he goes to Fenway Park. That dude is going to get wrecked. Put him at Oracle, though. More spacious. It's a West Coast team anyway, so I think Shota Imanaga goes just like Yamamoto and Ohtani this offseason. Imanaga, hey, stay out west. I think he's a great fit for the Giants, right? Because they got more space out there. It's a pitcher's park. Imanaga is a perfect San Francisco Giant, if you ask me. Do not put that guy on the Red Sox. Oh, my God. The goodness gracious. Moonshots will be over the monster. Don't. I like Giolito, though. But then, you got Bailey. I don't know. The thing with Imanaga that I don't like is that, yeah, you can talk about pick shape all you want. The guy throws in the low 90s. I'm a big guy on velocity, right? Yeah, I loved Greg Maddux back in the day. I did. Greg Maddux, though, dude, completely different. Completely different. Imanaga is not Greg Maddux, right? So, I don't know, man. I just don't trust the velocity. And another thing, too, is he was giving up a lot of home runs on the fastball, which everyone raves about with Imanaga. So, I don't know. Good. He's got some good off-speed stuff, too. I don't want him at Fenway Park. Go to San Francisco. Perfect. Giants fans, you are going to love Imanaga. So, moving on here. Teoscar Hernandez, not really any update on him. Sorry, I know I'm talking about the Red Sox again. God, I feel like people are going to stop watching because I'm talking Red Sox. Here come the Giraffe Neck Robbie comments. But the Red Sox, the Angels, they seem to be the two teams that are kind of at the finish line for Teoscar Hernandez. I had my trusted person that I talked to told me that the Red Sox, their first offer was terrible. And I'm going to be honest with you. I wonder if that is subjective. Because here, look at this, everyone. I will say this, baseball trade values, they have actually done a pretty good job when it comes to some of the salaries that have been presented this offseason. Funny thing with Teoscar Hernandez, when my guy told me their first offer was terrible. Now, this one might surprise some people. With their evaluations on baseball trade values, as well as when you factor in track record, age, the whole kick and caboodle, right? Projections and whatnot. They actually see Teoscar Hernandez as a guy that's around $11 million per year. That does feel pretty light when you really think about it. You think, oh yeah, I know Teoscar Hernandez, his numbers have been coming down a little bit, but really $11 million? I don't think he's going to end up with that. But I think that is where my guy told me that the first offer from the Red Sox was not good. I actually wonder if maybe they didn't think it was good. But it's kind of funny when I see a low number like that, and I wonder if maybe the Red Sox were offering like $10 million per year or something, but then, maybe the agent got some other teams involved and they're trying to get the bidding up a little bit. I think he ends up with like around 15 per year. I just feel like with the lack of bats on the market, I think you're going to end up having to pay a little bit more for Hernandez. So I honestly think with Hernandez, I could see like 14, 15 million per year. That feels about right. So Again, with Hernandez, he was okay last year. 105 WRC plus, hit 258, 305 on base, the 435 slugging, 26 home runs. Still fine, like a good right-handed bat, but he was very streaky last year. Oh, man. Cold in the beginning of the year, hot in, July. Let me go to the splits. He had like 2 really good months last year, if you look at the numbers here. June, he had a 160 WRC plus, but he had around like an 82 to 84 WRC plus in April and May. July, he was ice cold. August, he was red hot, had an OPS over 1,000, and then he was, again, quiet in September. So, very streaky. Doesn't make me feel amazing, but I feel like Hernandez, he's had success at Fenway Park. I don't know. Maybe the Red Sox, they can kind of help him stay a little bit more consistent. Or if he goes to the Angels, perhaps. Maybe a team like the Dodgers, they've been connected with him. Maybe teams like that can find a way to kind of keep him a bit more steady throughout the year. But I still think Hernandez is going to be a presence in the lineup. I just think there is still that name there. And obviously, 26 home runs last year. I still think he's going to be a 25, 30 home run guy. Just need to get that on base up a little bit. Got to try and cut down on the swing and miss. He doesn't walk a whole lot. But at 31 years old, are you really going to be able to change all that much? It's like kind of like teaching an old dog new tricks. Is he really going to be able to cut down on those strikeouts? Is he going to be able to increase the walks? I don't know, at 31 years old now, I'm not quite sure. And that also kind of goes into another reason for why maybe he might not get as big of a contract that you would think, right? Because he's already 31 years old, right? He's kind of at the end of those prime years, and we've seen those numbers decline over the last 3 years. So that's why I'm thinking, I think at most you're going to see 14, 15 per year. Maybe it ends up being 13 per year. Right? So don't expect a whole lot for Teoscar Hernandez. So one other guy that's been on the market, and actually really quick, this happened yesterday. I didn't go live yesterday, but Blue Jays are getting in on the offseason here. My goodness. They didn't get Shohei Ohtani. They did not get Ohtani, but they got Kiermaier. And they got Kiner Falefa. I mean, listen, you didn't get Ohtani, but you got IKF. I mean, you don't need Ohtani. You got IKF. So the Blue Jays, jokes aside. Blue Jays fans, I'm sorry, man. Listen, I know you went from Ohtani on the plane. I know Blue Jays fans like Kiermaier. I like Kiermaier too. I think that's good they brought him back. But when you compare it to frickin' Ohtani, good grief. And then the guy, it's like, what's going on here? I guess according to reports out there, the Blue Jays, they're far from done. So we'll see. We'll see. But I don't know, man. I'm just wondering, are they going to be able to bring in it? They need a DH. It seems like they're probably out on Bellinger now that they brought in Kiermaier. I don't know, man. I guess if you still had a chance at Bellinger, I guess you could put him at first, and you could put Vlad at DH, and then Bellinger. Kiermaier, he tends to get dinged up a little bit, but I don't know, man. To me, Bellinger was such a good fit for them, and I guess they didn't want to spend the money. So I don't know, but we will have to wait and see what ends up happening there. But speaking of Bellinger, I came up with a little something. So there was a report out a little earlier. One second here. Everyone, if you can, where are we at with the likes? We're at 87 likes. Everyone, like goal for tonight is 200. If you can help us get there, I will love you forever. And if you can, share the show. Let's get some more people in here. Let's get a few more people in here. I'm going to actually share this on X right now. Try and get a little bit more people in here. All right. So I came up with a little something. It's probably not going to make a whole lot of sense, but I feel like there's a lot of times I don't make a whole lot of sense. So, report earlier from Talk Nats. It says here that the Nationals, they are looking for a left-handed power bat. Listen, call me crazy. Call me crazy. I understand. You got some good prospects coming up, right? You got some young beef coming up, right? You just had a big draft pick, getting Dylan Cruz. That guy's probably going to be up next year. James Wood. Don't forget, you still got Robert Hassel, right? Who knows what's going to happen. He didn't really have a great year last year. But hear me out. And I understand they're going through some ownership stuff right now. I get it. But if they wanted to bring in a star, could Cody Bellinger be that guy? Remember, I'm going to connect back. Go back like a couple of months ago, right? I remember doing like a power ranking stream, or I can't remember. But I said, don't be surprised if maybe the Nationals make some kind of a splash. I'm thinking of Bellinger's market right now, right? I mean, what is Bellinger's market at the moment besides the Cubs? It feels like right now the Cubs are in the driver's seat. But is that it? I mean, the Giants, they got Lee. The Padres, I guess the Padres, I don't know. Could they go get Bellinger? I know there's a money thing, the money issue right now with the Padres, but they wanted to keep their payroll under 200. They're at 157, probably a little bit more than that once you put in some other things. But could you possibly fit Bellinger? I don't know. But you had the Mariners at one point, they were connected. That doesn't seem to be happening. I mean, maybe the Angels, but it's kind of, it doesn't really work, right? When it comes to, you'd really have to move some pieces around to be able to fit Bellinger. So I think the Angels or the Giants could do it, but there's some log jams there. The Mariners, I don't know, they don't seem to be really interested in spending a whole ton of money. So really, out of all these teams, it's really just the Cubs. But if there is a team that maybe could come out of nowhere, maybe the Nationals for Cody Bellinger. I don't know, you got Dylan Cruz, right? And Dylan Cruz is going to be your center fielder. I mean, Lane Thomas right now, he had a good year last year out in right. I mean, could you put Bellinger at first and then he can go play some outfield spots, right? And then you figure it out with Dylan Cruz when he comes up. But I'm just going to kind of, put that in your brain. Probably won't happen. I give it like a 2% chance. But I wonder, man, the Nationals, I think they're going to be pretty good in the next couple of years. I think they could end up being a fun team this year with all this young talent that they have. I think the Nationals could be pretty fun, right? Maybe a team like how the Reds were last year. I think you could see something similar to that. You got some young guys on this team. The pitching is definitely an issue, but hey, maybe Gray, Gore, they take a step. Maybe they go sign one of these lower cost guys. Maybe they could bring in someone like Stroman, right? Like a more of a veteran guy. I don't know. I wonder if maybe the Nationals come out of nowhere and they look to add some kind of a star, right? And Bellinger, that would be your star player. So, probably not going to happen, but I guess kind of maybe thought. James Hirota in the chat. Angels are a better fit for Bellinger than you might think. He would be a defensive upgrade over Trout and let him move to a corner. Yeah, you make some sense there. You do make some sense. I think Trout at some point, probably he's got to move, right? What do you do with Mickey Moniak? It seems like Moniak's more of a platoon guy at this point. Do the Angels feel like Bellinger is really that guy? I mean, yeah, you could make it work. All right, I'm just wondering, with Moniak, right, he's that lefty bat. And then you got Ward out and left. He's not going anywhere. I don't know. I just wonder, would Moniak just be the fourth outfielder at that point? Or you end up just doing a platoon, with the DH spot, and Moniak, gets the lefty at bats, against the righties. And then against the lefties, you get a righty in there. So maybe you can make the DH a bit more flexible. So, hey, man. I'm just saying. So, but with the Nationals, I did think this was an interesting report, right? Of course, there are some other options out there. This article here by MLB Trade Rumors, they did talk about Bellinger here, but then they brought up some other guys like, Brandon Belt, Votto, Gallo, Peterson, Rosario. I could maybe see Gallo being a guy. I don't know, man. If you want to go for some star power, why not go Bellinger? Anyway, speaking of, I don't know if this is really considered a star, but I think he could be at some point. We haven't heard a whole lot, at least until recently, about an arm out there by the name of Yariel Rodriguez. So there's a little something here. I actually put up a video the last couple of days of Yariel Rodriguez. And if you're not familiar with Yariel Rodriguez, right, he has been, my goodness, my computer is like freezing. He has been a guy that has been pitching in Japan, right, from Cuba, got good stuff, right, good fastball with a lot of life, very good slider. He's got a very hard splitter, right, throws a splitter in like the low 90s, has a changeup there too. He's got some pretty good off-speed stuff. Guy's nasty, right? So if we watch, some of the highlights here while I'm talking, Yariel Rodriguez right now, he's getting interest from teams as a starter as well as a reliever. So according to Enrique Rojas, right, the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and the Pirates are looking at Yariel Rodriguez as a starter, while the Yankees, Reds, and Padres are looking at him as a reliever. I think, personally, Yariel Rodriguez is a reliever. I look at this guy, I don't know what it is. Like, I just have a thing. I remember with Papelbon back in the day, right? They brought Papelbon up. He was going to be a starter, right? They had him working as a starter in spring training. I just looked at Papelbon. I'm like, that dude is he's such a closer, right? The way his mentality was, I don't know, man. When I look at Yariel Rodriguez, I look at a possible nasty closer in the future. Just the stuff. I don't know. I don't see him as a starter for some reason. Like, I remember in the WBC, he was kind of running into some issues a little bit with command. But I think, to me, if you just have this guy get into a rhythm coming out of the bullpen, dude, this guy is just going to shut you down, man. He is a reliever to me. So if the Red Sox are looking at him as a starter, I just wonder if they're actually going to bring him in. I don't know. But maybe, hey, the starting pitching money, that's pretty good. But I don't want him in the rotation. That's just me. Blue Jays, I think it's weird because the Blue Jays have a full rotation. They already got so many starters. So, like, why would the Blue Jays be looking at him as a starter? The Pirates, sure. I mean, the Pirates at this point, I think he makes more sense as a starter for the Pirates because they already have a really good back end of the bullpen. So that makes sense. The Red Sox do need starting pitching, so I do see that. I personally think the guy is just a reliever. The Yankees, yeah, they're pretty, they could add a starter, but I think the Yankees would much rather have him as a reliever. And the Reds got a lot of young starters, so I could see him going to the back end there. And the Padres, they just added a lot of starting pitching depth. So, and they could use some more arms at the back. I know you just brought in Matsui there. Could end up being your closer from Japan. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense, except for the Blue Jays. I just wonder why they would be looking at him as a starter. I just think for me, they would probably think he's more of a reliever, or if they were even interested in him, because they need guys in the bullpen right now. He could end up being you got Romano back there. That'd be a nasty setup guy. For me, Dude, if I'm the Red Sox, sorry to be biased here, but dude, I'm bringing this guy in. I am driving Kenley Jansen to the airport myself, and this guy is my closer. Right? I'd probably maybe have him as a setup guy first, right? Get him situated with the Major League game, right? Maybe go with like Whitlock or Houck as the closer first. But dude, I am shipping off Kenley Jansen. I am trading Jansen. I'm going to go try and get a second baseman for him. Maybe go bring in Drury. Maybe go bring in India, right? If the Reds are looking at him as a reliever, hey, Kenley Jansen, why not? Cincinnati Reds, we'll give you Kenley Jansen, maybe a prospect for India. Make it happen. Anyway, but keep an eye out for Yariel Rodriguez. It looks like there is some steam picking up. Clutch Fire 5.0. What is Boston Strong saying? What is he saying? The holdup between the Red Sox and Teoscar Hernandez is the 4th year. They will need to find some middle ground. Both parties are very interested. I mean, that makes some sense because he's already 31 years old. So, I'll pull this up for everyone. Boston Strong, I don't really know how much access he has. I don't know. He's got a big account, but I feel like he's put stuff out there. I don't know. I feel like there has been stuff he's put out before, and it hasn't really happened. But he is saying here, hold up between the Red Sox and Teoscar is the 4th year. They will need to find some middle ground. It sounds like 3rd year and a team option. I don't know. That's just me. I think again, it kind of gets back to what I was pointing out here earlier, the 4-year 43, right? And the Red Sox, they try to keep the years as low as possible, right? If you gave them a 3-year deal, they're projecting 11, 12 million per year. I don't know, man. I think I could believe this. I do think, listen, we saw Teoscar Hernandez. He was, he literally was following like the Red Sox Spanish Twitter account. He followed Boston Strong. So, I don't know, man. He wasn't following any other teams or anything except for the Mariners. So, seems like a Red Sox if you ask me. And then there was someone that made a Teoscar Hernandez Photoshop jersey swap, and he actually liked that picture. So it sounds like there is something brewing there with Teoscar and the Red Sox, but I wonder what it's going to end up being. But don't be surprised, everyone. I said this earlier, if it ends up being a lower AAV than you would think. I think it could get up to around 15. But don't be surprised if it ends up being below that. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't feel like there's a whole lot of competition out there for him. So I could see maybe 14, 15 per year. What else we got? Is that it for the news for tonight? I think that might be it for the news tonight. I have covered it. But we still have the 2023 awards, everyone. We still have the awards. But really quick, I do want to real quick go over our sponsor for tonight. And right now, we got a couple of specials on BetUS. Right? BetUS right now, easily top platform out there when it comes to all of your online sports betting. You can do football, you can do basketball, you can do hockey, you can do golf, you can do it all, right? They got the parlays, they even got horse racing. They got everything you need when it comes to the sports betting. So right now with a couple of specials, so they actually have a couple here as of right now, for Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani. So right now for Juan Soto, the money line that they have right now is plus 175 if he hits 45 plus home runs this year. Let me know in the chat. Give me a thumbs up in the chat or give me a thumbs down in the chat. Do you think Juan Soto hits at least 45 home runs this year? Thumbs up or thumbs down. Let me know what you think. And then there's also a couple here with Shohei Ohtani. 45 home runs as well. And then they have a whole bunch of other ones like home runs, or how many runs he will score, how many hits he will have, RBIs. So there's a whole bunch of different Shohei Ohtani ones. So mostly seeing thumbs down for the Juan Soto 45-plus home runs. I don't think he ends up getting 45. I could see 40. 45 home runs would be nuts. I don't know about that. But make sure you go check out BetUS, right? That is our friends over there. And they are a proud sponsor of the channel, and they support what we do over here. Make sure you go sign up, right? There is going to be a link after the show where you can click the link, and it'll give you a 125% bonus. So go check that out, everyone. Go check that out. All right, let's get to a fun part of the show. It's almost 2024, and I came up with a couple of awards. Not the, MVP, Cy Young, stuff like that. I asked everyone in the chat, or not the chat, on the community tab today. I posted a little something. I'm like, hey, give me some wacky sort of like categories, right? And I had a few good responses, so I ran with a couple of those, and I just came up with a couple of mine as well. So we got some awards, and one of the ones that someone suggested for this past year, for 2023, was the best pitching performance from a position player. And I knew exactly right off the bat, because I remember watching this, right? And if we go here, right, this was very early in the season, right? So let me actually pull up the box score. 1 second here. So let me pull this up. This was on April 10th. April 10th. So you got to go all the way back. All the way back. Right? So it was the Royals and the Rangers. And we had Nate Eaton on the mound. To me, he is the best. He had the best pitching performance from a position player this year. And I mean, my goodness. Now, with Nate Eaton, right? I mean, I'm going to go to the box score here. So I'm just going to show you this. So he pitched an inning. He got a strikeout. This guy was throwing low 90s in this game, right? It was a wash of a game. Greinke, Coleman, they just got lit up. Eaton, he actually was a pitcher earlier on in his career, and he came on. This guy was throwing like 93, 94, right? He wasn't a pitcher anymore, but he came in here and he just looked like a guy that should be a pitcher, right? He was throwing really hard, man. And like, to me, I love it when the position players come in and they just throw really well. I always find that very entertaining. So Nate Eaton, he gets my vote for the best pitching performance from a position player this year. You know, we had Rowdy Tellez on the mound. I think we even had Sandy Leone on the mound. Sandy Leone was pretty good. I did like that one. For our next award, best ejections. There's two. There is two here. And I got Aaron Boone and Bryce Harper. Aaron Boone, that's one of the funniest pictures I have ever seen in my entire life. So Aaron Boone, I give him the nod here, or at least half of the nod, because Aaron Boone, the way he did this, it was hilarious. Now, let me go pull this up. Aaron Boone ejection. It was awesome. I mean, we just have to go watch this. So let me go pull this up. He was literally like, he was drawing a line. He was getting in the. I don't want to play it because I don't want ESPN to like copyright me. So I'll play it a little bit. So he got in his face, right? So that was already good. And then he literally starts drawing a line in there, in the dirt. He starts mimicking him. And then he does the famous mimic, whatever you want to go, the strike 3 call, right? That's hilarious to me. That's amazing. So that easily gets half the vote. But Bryce Harper, I actually thought his ejection was pretty cool. You know, Harper is always getting into it with the umpires. But what I thought was cool about this, if you remember about that ejection, he threw his helmet into the stands, and then this kid ended up getting the helmet. So, just saying. Pretty cool ejection, if you ask me. On to the next award. I'm going to go with a couple of underrated players. I'm probably going to rub some people the wrong way with one of these picks. People are going to be like, what? What are you talking about? One of these guys here, the reason I have him on this list, or at least one of the few that I picked, is because I feel like I didn't hear anything about him this year because the team was pretty bad. But I got Francisco Lindor. That's probably going to be the one where people are like, what? Francisco Lindor? I didn't hear a thing about Francisco Lindor this year, and he's one of the best players in the game. I mean, if you go look at the leaderboards, go look at the actual Fangraph leaderboards from this past year. Take a look at this. Francisco Lindor was 8th in Fangraph WAR. He had a solid season at the plate, hit .254, .336 on base, a .470 slugging, 31 homers, 98 RBIs, 31 stolen bases. And he was really good defensively. He was one of the best all-around players this year, and I didn't hear a thing about Francisco Lindor this year. I didn't hear one thing at all. Not one. So, to me, that makes him pretty underrated, if you ask me. And then getting back to the other two guys here, I have William Contreras. William Contreras was also here. I feel like I didn't hear anything about him at all. William Contreras this year had a really good season after getting traded, right? There was the Sean Murphy trade. Look at the year that he had. He hit .289 with a .367 on base, a .457 slugging, 17 homers, 78 RBIs, but he was really good defensively. He was one of the best defensive catchers in the game this year. So William Contreras, I thought, was very underrated this year. I feel like with the Brewers, you heard more, pretty much the only thing you would hear about the Brewers was Corbin Burns, right? Christian Yelich had a good year too. But William Contreras, I heard more about Christian Yelich this year, but William Contreras, in my opinion, was their best player. In my honest opinion. I know Devin Williams is there. I don't know. That's just me. And then I had Nick Pivetta, so I could probably see some people saying that's biased, but I don't think people realized, Nick Pivetta had his ups and downs last year, but he actually was pretty solid when you look at the overall numbers, right? So if you're looking at Nick Pivetta here, so we're going to at least 100 innings pitched. Nick Pivetta last year, he was 5th in strikeouts per 9, right? You had Strider at number 1. You had Hunter Green at number 2, Glasnow number 3, Blake Snell number 4, who won the Cy Young. And Nick Pivetta was right there with 11.5 strikeouts per 9. My goodness. He had more strikeouts per 9 than Ohtani. Obviously, maybe not as many total strikeouts, but Nick Pivetta was right there. He had a couple of really bumpy months, but when Nick Pivetta was on, he was really good. He went to the bullpen. He did really well out of the bullpen. Then he went back to the starting role, ended up doing really well in September. And there was one game out of the bullpen against Oakland. I think he struck out, 13 guys out of the bullpen? What a performance that was. Nick Pivetta, to me, I feel like was really underrated. We have one more. Ooh. I forgot about this one. I forgot about this. Oh my goodness. I got to pull this up. because I already know what all of you are going to say about this. I already know it. Let me pull this up here. Let me actually go. I got to find the actual video. Here we go. Let me see. Where is it? You all know, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Here we go. I can't believe this guy made this comment. But the worst take of the year, that goes to Ben Verlander. The worst take of 2023. He said Shohei Ohtani was the most important signing in Dodger history. And he completely forgot about Jackie Robinson. Oh, Ben. I mean, let's just go to the clip. We got to go to the clip.
It's the most important signing in Dodgers history. I have no problem saying that. It's the most important. It's the biggest. I think it will be the most impactful, and it's already impactful. Not on the field, but odds-wise, the Dodgers are now the odds-on favorite to win the World Series. They signed Shohei. Well, guess what?
It's so bad. It's really bad. I'm going to go. Listen, he got a lot for that, man. He got a lot. And here's the thing, right? There are plenty of times. Listen, I'm not saying I work at Fox Sports and whatever. I don't have this platform that he does. But there are times where I have really just slipped on something where I just didn't think it all the way through. I am definitely guilty of those moments, right? Sometimes when you're just on camera, you get excited about something and something just goes right over your head, right? Or you just completely blank on something, right? I think what happened here, personally, I'm going to try and give him some credit. Or not credit. I'm gonna go, that's not the right word. I'm going to give him a little, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the phrase I'm looking for? Benefit of the doubt, right? I guess that's the right way to point it out. I think he was just really focused on the whole Ohtani thing because that's his aura. Like when you really think of Ben Verlander, the guy is obsessed with Shohei Ohtani. I don't know if it's like, I don't know what it is. It even feels like a little odd sometimes. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Listen, I love that he loves the game of baseball, right? This guy actually used to be in the minor leagues, if you don't know, right? Obviously, his brother is Justin Verlander, right? He used to be in the minors. So, yeah, I mean, dude just loves Shohei Ohtani. I don't know. Like, I think it's just kind of his shtick now. So I think he's just kind of running with it. But I'm also thinking, like, why didn't someone say something? Because to me, I think probably before the show, they probably go through everything, right? They go through a game plan of the show. To me, was this like purposely done? Or, because I don't know, like to me, I feel like someone would recognize like, hey, that might not be a great take. I just feel like personally, like, how does no one at Fox, when they're going over the notes before the show, catch this? I don't know. It feels odd, and it almost feels like it was kind of purposely done. That's just me, because I'm thinking, like, how does no one point this out, right? Unless everyone's just so focused on Ohtani. But yeah, clearly, Jackie Robinson is the most important signing in Dodger history. You could argue the most important signing of all time, right? I mean, when it comes to the significance of it, right? Breaking the color barrier, it was massive. So I would like to say he probably just got excited about everything with Ohtani and the money, and it just, was it a spur of the moment comment? Was it like something he just came up with and they didn't plan it before the show? I don't know. Either way, though, with the platform that you have, with the following that you have, with Justin Verlander being your brother, I just think you gotta be a bit more responsible with that. I think now, if you asked him, like, I think he would probably honestly say, I didn't mean it like that. I think he meant it from more of like a competition standpoint. Jackie Robinson was very good too. I just think I think it's just kind of one of those things, like, Ohtani is obviously the best player in the universe right now, so I'm wondering if he was, I'm not giving my own opinion, I'm trying to think of where he was coming from, where maybe that's what he was thinking, right? But yeah, from a actual significant standpoint, Jackie Robinson was clearly the most important signing in Dodger history, you know, and probably baseball history too. So that's just me. Anyway, that was the worst take of 2023. Now, I got a couple of memories here, and there wasn't just one, right? I picked a few. Man, oh man, I'm going to start off with the show, since we're talking about Shohei Ohtani. I mean, my goodness. We got to talk about Shohei Ohtani, not the player, but we're going to talk about the flight. I mean, my goodness. This was hilarious. This was, in my opinion, when it comes to the channel, my reaction to this whole thing, when Bob Nightingale came out and said he was not on the plane, go back to that stream. I died laughing. Like, I couldn't breathe. I was in pain of how funny that was. And then this other guy that was in Toronto, he had put out a tweet saying there was a press conference at like I can't even stop laughing at it now. There was like a press conference scheduled, and then that came out, and then the guy just wrote, "Oh, that's interesting." It's so funny. And then the guy from Shark Tank ended up coming off the plane instead. It was hilarious. That was probably one of the best things I had ever seen. But getting back to the other memories, right? I mean, of course, Adolis Garcia to me, the walk-off home run. I was actually about to go live for this. And I was literally at the point where I thought, you know, it was, let me pull up the box score here. One second. Where is the box score? Oh, it is always so difficult finding the box scores. All right, so it was funny because I was going live, and the Diamondbacks, they had the lead, right? And then Corey Seager ends up tying the game, and I'm about to go live for the post game, and then I'm like, oh, okay, already change the plans, everyone. I thought we were about to see the end of the game, and then Corey Seager ends up tying the game, and then Garcia, we got to witness the walk-off home run live. So that was a pretty cool memory. I really enjoyed that. And then also, we had the Oakland A's reverse boycott. You know, hey, say what you will. You know, with me, when it comes to the whole Oakland A's thing, yeah, you know, you would love for the A's to be able to stay there, right? The problem was, though, and I think it kind of goes both ways, and I've talked about this before, too, where you have Fisher, the owner, who never really wanted to make the improvements, right? You never wanted to spend the money, right? So you can blame him for a lot, right? But then you can also say, well, the fans, they weren't coming to the games, right? So the attendance was always down. They weren't bringing in the money, right? But then it can kind of go both ways, right? Where it's like, well, Fisher wasn't spending the money, so why do we want to go to the games? He never wants to invest in the team. And, you know, so, you know, I think overall, I think Fisher just at the end of the day, I just think when he took over the team, I think he just saw Oakland as, he didn't see it as a future home. And honestly, I think even Rob Manfred thought that too. I think this has actually probably been in the works for years, to be honest. If I were to really think about it, I guarantee you it goes back years. That's just my own opinion. I'm speculating, right? So I think they've always saw like a city like Vegas as a landing spot, right? And I think it was just an easy transition, right? You saw the Raiders do it. So I think they thought the same thing. But, it is sad at the end of the day, but I did like that, you had all the A's fans show up. There was so much energy in that stadium. I thought it was a pretty cool moment. But in the end, it's a bummer, right? You would like for your team to stay, but hey, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Vegas down the road. And going back to this, we had another memory here for me. Adam Duvall, he had the walk-off home run. It was the second game of the year, right? Duvall, he looked like Barry Bonds at one point. You couldn't get the guy out. He had the walk-off home run against the Orioles. That was a really exciting moment for me as a Red Sox fan. Love that, and it kind of gave me some hope for the season. Ended up, after the trade deadline, we fell apart. But I would have to say, out of all the moments, honestly, if you go back to even before the season even started, I mean, go back to the World Baseball Classic. I honestly, for the entire, for me, my Red Sox, they were in it at one point and then they just fell apart. But if you go back to the World Baseball Classic, I think honestly, that was really some of the most exciting stuff, man. I was really into the World Baseball Classic. It really stunk that Edwin Diaz ended up hurting his knee. I was really bummed out about that for the Mets. And I did tweet out at one point saying like, oh, the Mets, like they got to be ticked off with this, because the Mets, they're thinking, because at the end of the day, to these teams, yes, to the players, it's definitely meaningful, right? They want to go play for their country. Right. And Major League Baseball, they do want to make this a thing, but you got to think from the team's point of view that, the teams themselves, it's like, yeah, sure, they want this to do well because it's going to bring more money into Major League Baseball. But when you're looking at it from a front office perspective, when you're looking at, possible injuries to your own team, I could see these people on the teams thinking that it is meaningless. Not the players, but the people in the front office, right? They could say, yeah, there is some meaning to it, but we have a full season to play. And, you had the Edwin Diaz injury, and that was a major blow. That was really tough. But besides that, I felt like the entire World Baseball Classic was amazing, right? And then you just had, like, of course, two amazing countries, Japan, the United States. I mean, what better finish is there? Ohtani and Trout, two legends, going head-to-head with 2 outs and, Ohtani getting the strikeout. It almost felt like a passing the torch kind of a moment. Was that just me that felt that? I don't know. I felt like that's what it was, right? Ohtani getting the big moment over Trout. It just felt like he was passing the torch, where who knows what ends up happening with Trout over the next few years. Let's see if he can actually get himself back onto the field. But, hey, I thought this was an amazing moment. I went to the Venezuela Puerto Rico game in Miami. Oh my, that was probably one of the best experiences I have ever had, ever, at a baseball game. I've been to some really fun games before, but that stadium was literally shaking. Like, I could feel the stadium moving. It was insane. It was awesome. Venezuela, Puerto Rico, two very, very passionate countries when it comes to just the game of baseball, right? You could feel it in that stadium. It was awesome. I will always remember that game. So, everyone, we have reached the show and or the end of the show. I just want to thank you, for stopping by here. It's always a pleasure. It's been a great year with all of you, spending this entire year, covering everything, right? Going back to last offseason, covering everything there, being able to go to the World Baseball Classic, like I said, going through the season with all of you, the power rankings and everything like that. And then all of this news that we've been having lately. going through the postseason. You know, I'm just glad, you know, this is the 4th year of this channel, and it's been another great year. We've had a lot of growth on the channel this year. We've had a lot of new subscribers. There's been a couple of videos on here that ended up reaching 100,000 views, which was a goal of mine for this year, just to get one video, and I ended up getting 2. But that's all because of you, because you guys are an amazing, amazing community. And I just want to thank you for another year. And, you know, I have talked about before where I would love for this to be my job, right? I would love for this to be my career. You know, this is something that I love. I love the game of baseball. I've loved it since I was a kid. And, you know, going into college, you know, I actually wanted to be a sports writer. I wanted to study journalism, right? And, you know, go work for like the Boston Globe or something one day, covering the Red Sox. It was something I always dreamed of. I got into teaching, and then here we are. But I do have an announcement to make regarding the future of this channel. And I'll just simply say just a few words. This is my job now. Have a great night. I'll see you next time.